Right. Everybody Comic-Con going so far?
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. You guys been in these rooms a lot?
Yeah, this is my first one actually.
Oh no way! Great. We're just warming up.
Yeah. I've been in a few of them.
Yeah. That's great.
It's been really fun. I'm so excited for this one.
I feel like you guys have like had to consume a lot of content to catch up on all the things that are here, which is great.
Yeah. No, it's been one of the complaints. No complaints.
No complaints.
Lovely excuse.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I'm working, but I'm also having
Watching cool shows for work.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
It could be worse.
It's great.
All right. Oh.
Are we ready? Yeah.
Why don't we just start over there
Yeah.
and go around it?
I guess I'll get started asking about what really interested you in the project and how you became attached and just kind of your background in becoming attached to the project.
Okay. Well, I have been working on Wynonna Earp for almost a decade, which is crazy. We did 4 seasons of a TV show. We have done a special and then Audible. So now we're here. We just released Audible on the 17th, and we've got 6 episodes of, since our show spans such a long time, we've got 6 episodes to kind of fill in the gaps for fans. So I've been here since episode 2, almost a decade ago, and I'm still here. Yeah.
So I'd love to know what it's like doing audio only for a character that you have done in other mediums. What needed to change, or what got to stay consistent when you switched to an audio only?
You know, it was really awesome because we were all in the same room together. And there were like on set, there's so much stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. But it was almost like doing theater. Like we just got to play, and it was so spontaneous because we were all in the room together, talking to each other across like this. And so that was the best part, because it was so refreshing as an actor to get to engage in that way and just like let the rhythm go. So that really surprised me. I'd never done audio. I'd done like a couple cartoons, but I'd never done a character that I had played before. So that was really amazing. Yeah, it was really a very different experience, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of hopping off of that question. I'm really curious, what were actually maybe some challenges that you ran into translating this world and this story that you've clearly been immersed in for a really long time?
Yeah.
From like the format that you're used to an audio format.
You know, one of the most interesting challenges was for my character and Wynonna Earp, because we have so many beautiful intimate moments. Dom was like across the room, so not having the physicality to sort of push that intimacy forward and just having your voice was actually really challenging, because we're so used to also being on the sets and with each other and being close to each other. So that was a really interesting challenge, was just like, how do we create that connection while not having all those other things? It's interesting. Yeah.
Since there was a gap between the TV show and the audio, what was it like coming back to the character? Did you have to go back and like watch some of the shows to kind of get back in that frame of mind? Or?
You know what was really amazing is we actually did a special for Tubi, and we had just got back from filming that. So it had been 3 years. Then we shot the special, and like I think 6 weeks later we were doing the audibles. So that was great because we were in it, like we were already there. However, like going back to it was definitely, I think I was glad to do the special first, because going back, what really helped me was the costuming and physically being on the sets with the people. So by the time we did Audible, I felt like I was already there. Very convenient and great. I don't know what would have happened if we hadn't had that. That would have been maybe a different challenge. Yeah.
John, backing off of that really quick. Sorry, I know you're. Was there kind of like a collectively agreed upon canon visual reference, or did each of you kind of just have that in your own head as what you imagine it would look like?
When you say canon visual reference of
like,
what?
Of where we are when we're doing this, of what costumes we're wearing. Was that something that you all kind of shared?
No.
Or is that the individual?
No, we didn't.
What did yours look like?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that too much. It was a really good question. I think it was more because we know the show, and so there was places that were referenced, like the homestead. I have the homestead in my head. But as far as like, there was definitely talk of like the episode with the giants, for example. Like there was definitely talk, and our a director was amazing. He would really paint the picture for us, because you're not getting that visual, and you're reading the script, and you're moving so quickly he was really the guide of like, okay, so now like things are flying and there's somebody like 20 feet in the air and you're calling up to them because you're like, okay, you know, how I envision that scene playing out may not be the same as how you envision the scene playing out. So it's like you have to sort of be on the same page. And that was really him painting the stage for us and being like, okay, this is geographically what's happening. So you could throw your voice or you could be calling off to somebody. Without him, it would have been, because originally I thought we'd shoot or we'd record in separate locations. I'm so glad we didn't, because there's so many things that I would have done differently, and I'm glad I didn't because I had the other actors and I was hearing what they were doing.
And speaking of having the other actors with you,
Yeah.
how did that help from coming back and your performance just with your voice, like you mentioned? That was that helpful? You really like enjoyed that.
It was super helpful, and I didn't have all of them. Like there are scenes I was listening to them where I knew that that person wasn't in the room when I was recording it, and maybe I'm the only person who would notice, but I definitely noticed the connection versus like hearing the other character for the first time versus a reader who was reading the other characters when we were recording. I'm like, oh, I would have maybe responded differently had I heard that line delivered like that. So it was interesting, but it was really, for the most part, getting to be in the room with so many of the characters was like such a blessing. I'm so glad we got to. It would be so hard to do it without everyone there. Yeah.
I think you touched on a little bit of this, but what were aspects of the story that like you felt like maybe you had more spaciousness, like as like an actor to create it in this kind of a setting versus how you kind of show up like on screen?
Totally. I think I didn't have to worry about what my face was doing. You know, like I think when you're on set, you're conscious of your body and how does it look in this and what's my face, my hair is weird. You're so conscious of like, I have moments on set where I'm like, I have hands. What do I do with my hands? Like I live with my hands every day, but for some reason when you're filming, all of a sudden you're like hyper aware of these things that you don't think about at all in day-to-day life. So not having that weight of that, I feel like I was so much freer as an actor to play and take risks and it felt freeing. It was so nice to not be self-conscious. Yeah. Yeah.
So going back, what was it about the initial, series that appealed to you, and how do you feel your character's grown from that?
Yeah. I mean, I loved the initial series. Like I auditioned for a couple other characters before I booked Nicole, and I was so invested in the series. If you think about this, a decade ago, this was a strong female heroine in a Western gunslinging role. Like 10 years ago, that was really like made a mark. I read that. I was like, I haven't read anything like this. And especially, being 10 years earlier in my career, it was still like towards the beginning of my career. And so that was really unique. And I had never read anything like that. And I really wanted to be a part of the show. And then how do I think she's changed? I mean, I think she's just grown in confidence as I've grown as a person too. Like we've kind of grown up together. And that's really beautiful as, a female performer, as an actor, as somebody, who started as a deputy and graduated to sheriff like Nicole did. It's really, we've grown alongside each other, which you never get to do with many characters. It's very rare. So I'm very grateful. Yes.
I'm going off of that question. I wanted to ask about playing like these strong women like that. Nicole, do you really enjoy playing characters who are like kind of push boundaries like that?
Yeah,
Flex.
totally. I mean, I think any character really with complex depth. The nice thing about playing characters for so long is I've gotten to dig into so much of her past, of what made her who she is. What she's struggled with, what have been her most triumph moments. I mean, we get so much of that, and we all say, I want to play a strong character. Of course you do, but I think there's also something really interesting playing characters who are not strong, and why are they not strong, and what has gotten in their way. I think that's just as interesting for an actor of a journey. I think the more complex, the better. And the longer you play a character, the more you get to dig in.
What has the fan response been like, especially over the last couple of years?
You know what? I barely know because it's only been a couple of days and I'm just kind of getting on. I've just finished listening to them myself. but from what I've heard, it's been quite positive. I've read a couple of reviews on Audible. Everyone seems so thrilled. I also just think it's really cool, especially for our fans and like such a the genre of the supernatural genre is like we can do things in Audible we can't do on screen just because the scope is so massive. So I think for our fans, it's been really great to get to see these really cool stories.
I have like a somewhat like general maybe question, but like what keeps bringing you back to the show? You know, you've been doing this for 10 years
Yeah.
and you know there's been 4 seasons and like the Tubi, you know,
Yeah.
movie and now this. Like what keeps inspiring you to come back to this?
I think like the people, the fans and my castmates. Like it is a gift to be so close with the people you work with.
Yeah.
It's so rare. It never happens in this business, or I should say rarely happens in this business. And like our fans, we go to conventions, we see how passionate people are. I just want to give them more story because it makes people so happy. The show is like it's just this it just keeps going, and it's because of our fan base, like Audible taking notice or TV taking notice. I mean, it's there's so hard to get a show made, let alone a show on 3 separate entities in 3 sort of different mediums. Like it's an unbelievable, and just it's a testament to like how incredible the show is, and the story it resonates with people so much. And I just keep, as long as people want to watch it, or listen to it, I'm gonna keep coming back to do it. Absolutely.
That was kind of my question. I mean, assuming that this does well and is well received, do you expect it to continue in, in this in the Audible format?
Yeah.
Because it's probably a lot easier to do than and a lot less expensive than TV.
It is. Absolutely. No, you're completely right. I think it's, Emily, our showrunner, has so many incredible stories to tell. Our writers are amazing. The fact that we can work in this format and like do stories that we cannot do on film is really exciting, especially for a genre show. Like, I just think the runway is endless for audio with this show. So I hope there'll be more. Yeah. Amazing.